8:18 a.m. You're southbound on I-95 driving home and you're almost there. Unfortunately, you begin to experience car trouble, so you pull over. You call your brother, but you tell him not to come because you have a church performance in the morning and you know you need your car. Instead, you request roadside service. You figure the wait shouldn't be too long. Then it happens. A man in an unmarked white van with tinted windows, wearing a hat, t-shirt, and jeans stops and approaches you. He questions you, and then he pulls out a gun. You then retaliate and pull out the registered gun purchased just 3 days earlier. Then, without warning, the man fires 6 shots. 3 hit, and 1 is fatal. What you will never find out is that this man was a plainclothes police officer, Newman Raja, who stopped to patrol what he saw as an abandoned vehicle and a potential burglary suspect. This was the fate of the late Corey Jones, a 31-year-old church musician who was another African-American stripped of his life at the hands of a police officer. With a rise in excessive aggression displayed by police officers today in our nation, it is clear that there is a thin line drawn between police protection and brutality that continues to be crossed. Today I'm here to inform you about the rise in police brutality primarily against African Americans and its effect on the African American community. With all this controversy going on in politics right now, recent evidence of brutality against our citizens are important to us all. I've done extensive research on this topic because I find that sharing knowledge and awareness is important and it's a form of action. Today I'm here to inform you about the rise in police brutality, primarily the abuse of power displayed by police and its consequential effect on the Black Lives Matter movement. One of the primary aspects displayed by police is the abuse of power. An aspect of that is excessive force. According to the Law Dictionary, the definition of police brutality is the use of excessive and unnecessary force displayed by an officer towards a civilian. Though police brutality in its physical form is the most obvious, there are several different types of police brutality that include psychological intimidation, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, and racial profiling. As I mentioned earlier, there is a fine line between an officer executing a procedure that he deems necessary and actions that an onlooker dictates as excessive. Has anyone of you heard about the incident that happened at Spring Valley High School? Well, I have footage here that a student took that shows an African-American teen girl being grabbed from her neck, slammed in her desk, flipped over, and dragged across the classroom by a white school police officer. This is one of the many examples of concerning aggression displayed by police. Though the names of both the student and the officer were not disclosed, the students at Spring Valley High School identified the officer as Ben Fields. A similar case happened in McKinney, Texas at a pool party. Here, there is footage of a viral video was shown of an officer slamming an African-American teen girl in a bathing suit to the ground and dragging her and straddling her at the party. The officers were said to be responding to a disturbance call at the party, and it wasn't too long before the video was picked up by several news outlets. And it also wasn't too long before the officer in question resigned. According to CopsCrisis.com, 84% of police officers say they have witnessed a fellow police officer displaying too much aggression towards a citizen, and 61% of police officers say they do not report cases of serious abuse displayed by their fellow police officers. Along with excessive aggression, fatal shootings have also been subject to controversy. We are taught as children to trust our law enforcement, yet as we age, we become skeptical of their actions. When headlines mourn the lives of African Americans like Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, and Michael Brown, skepticism can easily turn into distrust. TeleSurTV.net shed light on a Harvard survey that expressed that more than 80% of African Americans do not trust police officers within the United States. We've come upon an era where Americans feel that they want to have any encounter that they have with police caught on camera. However, when cases that include full coverage, including the fatal shooting of 12-year-old Tamir Rice, who was fatally shot by Officer Timothy Loman, receive a verdict of not guilty, many question whether visual evidence truly makes a difference. Tamir Rice was fatally shot by Timothy Loman when he responded to a call about a 12-year-old boy in a recreational park possibly holding a toy gun. When arriving to the scene, Officer Lohman shot Tamir Rice almost immediately, and needless to say, the case caused national controversy. The investigation spanned 13 months, and to make matters worse, the city of Cleveland attempted to sue Tamir's family for $500 to cover his emergency medical treatment. This year, to repay Tamir's family for their loss, the city of Cleveland is giving them $6 million in order to avoid a civil rights trial. Though the case is settled, no amount of money can bring Tamir back or heal that family from their emotional trauma. Finally, the Black Lives Matter movement spurred as a result of all of the high-profile instances of aggression towards African Americans. Black Lives Matter is so much more than just a hashtag. It is an international activist movement that serves to campaign against African American violence and aggression. It was actually created in 2012 by 3 sisters after the Trayvon Martin trial, when his killer, George Zimmerman, was acquitted for his crime. According to TellerTV.net, a Harvard Law study revealed that 37% of white people support the Black Lives Matter movement, while 81% of African Americans and 59% of Hispanics support the movement. One of the most important things that the Black Lives Matter movement is doing is making the civil rights of minorities a national conversation. So let's look back at what I spoke about today. I first spoke about the abuse of police power, and including excessive aggression and fatal shootings, and how that consequently led to the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. As minorities across America and beyond watch another brutality video and another victim slain, they reflect and question, who do you call? Who do you call when you raise your hands higher as you holler help, and fear of becoming another victim that the police department blames? Though the answer to that question is still unknown, it is clear that with awareness, we are well on our way to progress. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. So how do you feel that Black Lives Matter have enriched African American unity?
In my opinion, Black Lives Matter has been influential in allowing African Americans to see that their civil rights are important as well. It's allowed for people in several different cities to come together and kind of protest against what they feel is violence against their community and acknowledge that they're important too. There's actually been a Black Lives Matter protest in every major city in the United States, so I definitely think that it's moving major ground for the community.
What about the black officers all officers coming together with the community trying to have communication with them?
I think that it's also important for Black officers to acknowledge that they're a part of the movement as well, because not all officers are racist or discriminate against minorities or otherwise. So I think it's important that they show that although they're officers, they're also minorities too. So it's kind of reflecting on the unity in the entire case. Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions?
What sparked your passion to talk about this subject?
Well, I actually, in high school, I was in newspaper, and I was the entertainment editor for 3 years, but I noticed that at every budget meeting, I was constantly pitching ideas that had to do with police brutality and violence against African Americans. It was actually at the height of several different trials, including Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, and Eric Gardner. So I noticed that I was really passionate about things that involved my community and kind of using my voice and my outlet through writing to enact change.